Hey guys, this is Weather Expert here bringing you guys an awesome video on detailed outlook about my preliminary outlook for the winter of 2015 and 2016. And guys, we have a lot to talk about. And all those people that are pulling out these final outlooks, do not trust them. They have no idea what they're talking about just because there's so many things that can happen from September to October that can completely change the ball game. Now, this is a preliminary winter outlook, which means things can change. Now, I'm going to go over each detail because I know you guys want to see this and see what I'm talking about. Alright, so here's one that I issued on September 5th, 2015. My next one will be October 5th, 2015. And I'm going to start from west to east. Now, from a typical strong El Nino pattern, you get a lot of rain to go through the southern part of California across here. And you get these storm tracks that just right up the east coast. And you'll get these pretty good events. Now the difference here is during a strong El Nino, typically, you get average to above average temperatures, which means there might be more ice events. So even though it says above normal snow, it only takes one cold blast to give you a huge snowstorm. Now, with typical El Nino years, usually this area, extend this yellow area over to Oregon, but I'm seeing more rain events. Sorry, that was my dog. I'm seeing more rain events starting to come through here, and I think that's gonna last through the winter. Now, I'm not saying it's gonna happen. I'm just saying that usually with climatologically, these storms come in wintertime, bring them tons of rain. It can get very nasty up there with some 100-mile-per-hour winds and all stuff. So it can get very tight up here. But I do think it's gonna be pretty dry and warm over here, over by Idaho. I'm sorry if you're like like I've been up in Mount St. Helens a few weeks ago, and guys, it was dry as a bone. It's pretty dry up in Washington. Over here, they've been battling wildfires in Idaho. So let's start getting down here. Let's start talking about the good stuff. So let's talk about the mountains. I'm thinking there's gonna be more upslope than last year. I mean, last year it was fine, but I think this year is gonna be a little colder and above normal because usually what the El Ninos do is they'll bring more storm tracks over here. And I'm just thinking that this can happen. You're gonna get more and more storm tracks, and usually with traditional pattern, if you get a low pressure over here, it's gonna fling winds into the mountains, and you're gonna see lots of snow up there. In Salt Lake City, Denver, you're gonna see more snow, I think. But as we get over here, we get to the equal chances. Now, this does not mean equal chances of snow, no snow. It just means that I have there's so many possibilities. I cannot say right now what could happen in this area, but I'm thinking that equal chances. It could be like this. It could be like this. I just can't put my finger out right now. So let's start with Florida, and Florida has been battling rain. I mean, seriously, they've been getting so much rain down there. And I think with this strong El Nino, you're gonna get a lot of rain up there. And usually these storm tracks will right up the East Coast, and it only takes cold blasts to get these huge snow events, these huge blizzards. But I think there's gonna be more ice events. But I'm not gonna think it's gonna be. I do not know this yet, but I just think that it's not gonna be as bad as last year. But you're gonna get a lot of snow events, I think. Now let's start talking about the winter battle zone. If you guys know what winter battle zone is where there's combinations ice, freezing rain, etc., snow. There's so many things. It's just because there's a lot of diversity between the cold air and the warm air. You gotta find a nice sweet spot where you can maybe get some ice, freezing rain, snow, all that stuff. Um, just watch out in these areas because I know Oklahoma City. I know how prone they are. I don't think that this. I don't know if I'm gonna extend this winter battle zone down to Dallas because they got a few ice events last year. But I just do not think that the snow. I could extend it because it is a little cooler down here during El Nino years. But just do not pay attention to what it always is like in El Nino years, like climatologically, because all you need is a negative NAO, and you can get big cold blasts, big snowstorms. We just need, if there's a big blocking, that we're gonna get in for a huge winter in the east. Let's talk about this. Now, I think, usually you get these Alberta Clippers. I don't think it's going to be like the 2010 and 2011 where you get one of these storms and then takes a ride up here and you get 2 feet of snow in Chicago. I think there are going to be more Clippers, but I think there's going to be at least 2 good snow events in this blue region right here. And lake effect snow is really not going to be too good this year. I mean, you're going to get some good off Marquette, I think, but really there's not going to be a lot of snow in Chicago for lake events. But even though I say below normal snowfall, this can change. That's why I put preliminary. I'm not putting final outlook. I'm putting preliminary. But if you get a positive NAO, then this will probably verify. but it could be a little warmer. I could put warmer than average. Could be like a if it's a positive NAO, you're gonna get a nice ridging over here. You're gonna have really warm conditions. You're gonna have warm and wet. But let's start by talking northeast. And most people that follow me are either in the west or the east. I still have a pretty good amount of severe weather kind of guys that are following me. If you don't follow me, I'm at expert weather. And I got 3 more images after this. But let's talk about the northeast first. Now, I do think that there's going to be a lot of diversity, but if you're near the coast, you're going to be a lot more prone to ice events. But I still include you guys in the snow events. But if you're over by Buffalo, Vermont, New Hampshire, Caribou, Pittsburgh, I think you're going to be in for a pretty snowy winter, but it's not going to be that cold. I just think that these dips are going to be like this. I don't think they're going to extend that far, but if you just need a little cold air, and these warm systems can turn into a huge nor'easter that can be like last year. But we just do not know yet what's going to happen exactly because it's still September. Now, October 5th, I'm going to release my second one, which is going to be pretty awesome. But yeah, that's really it for this image. Let's go to the next image, and let's talk about negative. Oh, this is my favorite winter of all time. More than 2014, more than 2015. Guys, if you didn't remember the 2010, 2011, we have a negative NAO. And if this sets up this year, we're going to get the exact same thing. But if it's going to, but if we won't, I don't care this winter if I'm going to get snow. But you know, the Northeast are going to get no matter what probably. But I just want California to rain. I don't want them to suffer that much. So if this happens, I will be grateful I get the snow. But I'll be very sad I get the snow because that means that they're not going to get a lot of rain. So if we get a negative NAO, there will be a lot of blocking, and that tends to ride the jet stream upwards. You know, go over the high pressure system. Of course, you can't go into the high pressure. You get a lot of blocking, which means there's gonna be a lot of dips in the jet stream, which is gonna put up a lot of cold air. And I've seen this before. You know, even though it says warm air, that doesn't mean it's gonna be wet. I do think it's gonna be wet. You get one of these systems, they'll ride this. One of them goes off track, it'll be like boom, Groundhog Day blizzard of 2011, and that was my favorite snowstorm of all time. I've had 5-inch storms, I've had 8-inch storms, I've had 10-inch storm, but the only time I had a 16-inch storm was in 2011, so February 1st, 2011, when it started to snow. That was pretty cool. But yeah, so let's see. Let's go to the next one. This was just recently released by the CFS, and this is the forecast for the El Nino. This is the forecast for the sea surface temperature anomalies. Now you can see they have a grateful thing that you can put the dates. So here it is. It's gonna keep growing and growing by the CFS. By a lot of the ensembles are gonna keep growing. None of them just take it down. So most likely it's gonna peak in November or late November, I think. But if this is right, then if it's right, this is a mean of all of them. But if this is right, then by January it's gonna be downhill, and by February, boom, we're gonna get a ton of snow. I mean, February is like right here, so it's pretty much still a moderate El Nino. But difference is the lower the El Nino, it keeps weakening, the more you get a lot of snow. But you see rapidly weakening resulting in a La Nina. La Ninas, oh man, they're awesome. That's what happened. We had a La Nina year in 2010 and 2011. 2010 is my favorite year of all time, guys. 2010 had a lot of hurricanes. They didn't hit the U.S., which was good. They had a really awesome winter. I mean, 2011 winter was best, but then the 2012 winter was absolutely the worst winter I've ever seen. But yeah, so if we get a La Nina by the time we get to hurricane season, like a lot of them take it by June, late June, and when we get this, we're gonna get a lot more hurricanes. But this video is not about hurricanes, about the winter. So the more it weakens, the more likely that we're gonna get colder air, and the more likelihood we're gonna get more wet conditions. So that's really all I have. But let's go back to my winter outlook. I'm gonna start drawing some of this stuff. So let's just use a snipping tool and just do this. Alright, so I think this area right here, this area right about here is gonna get soaked. Oh, whoops, sorry, that was terrible. Right here, this area right here is gonna get absolutely soaked this year, and this is great news for them. That not up here I think there's going to be wetter conditions, but I don't think it's going to be absolute soaker. Because right now we're starting to get these events that are looking more like an El Nino. We're starting to get some tropical moisture come through. We're starting, because these warm temperatures build a lot of thunderstorms, and all you need is some wind, and it'll cast them up to LA, and they've got about 2 inches of rain, which is great news, but we just need it around the whole state. We needed San Francisco, we needed Death Valley, we needed Lake Tahoe. We need it for the reservoirs for next winter, because if you don't get a lot of rain in the reservoirs, especially after this year, this is going to be a terrible winter, and this could make California a crisis state if this doesn't happen. But most likely, I think that it's going to be a lot. Now let's talk about the eastward states. So I gotta erase all this, and let's get back here. Oh, but first off, let's talk about the setup. If we get a high pressure that builds up over here, it's actually off the screen. Most likely what it'll do is it'll bring down cold air, ridge. Actually, no, it won't do that. It'll do this. If we get a negative NAO, you're gonna have this. You're gonna have that type of pattern. You're gonna have lots of cold air coming in. You're gonna have, if you get a little moisture, and you're gonna have tons of snow over here. I mean, lots of it, and it's good. It could, and guys might be wondering why my voice sounds like, because I stayed home today because I'm a little sick with a little bad. I have a pretty bad cold, but I can still talk. I don't have a stomachache or anything. But yeah. So, but if you get a positive NAO, you get warm temperatures over here. And you get, warm air to like settle across here. You get cold air over here, so it really just bakes here, and really just does not do a lot. But yeah, so I really think that this winter could be a very challenging one. I've never seen a winter, I've never seen it like this. I mean, I've never seen it this hard to, yeah, so I gotta extend this. Let's see. Okay, let's turn that off. Never mind. But yeah, that's really it, guys. But let's see. Let's talk about the Colorado first, because I think Colorado needs a pretty good amount of snow. So what do you think? So if these low pressures ride this track like they usually do, the cyclonic flow that happens around the low pressure system will back some of those winds over the mountains, and the result is a lot of snow. And when I say a lot of snow, I mean a ton of snow that you're gonna get in the Rockies. But yeah, guys, that's really gonna wrap it up. If you want to go for snow, the snow bank this year, the snow, you're gonna have to look over here, and I think over here. Nah, it's too far. No, not there. I'm sorry if you guys were in that region. But I think the snow bank will be over here. Bam. That's where I think the most snow is gonna. Those areas I think I'm gonna be the ones that are gonna be the most prone to snow this year. But I still think we can get a good couple of good storms here. But yeah, guys, that's really gonna wrap it up. I'm sorry it's been a 13-minute video, but this is a really detailed forecast, and it's pretty good. I really just think that this I think this winter is gonna be a very challenging one to forecast. But just stay tuned to my Twitter page at Expert Weather. It's already the 17th. I gotta make my winter outlook number 2 soon. But you guys, see you guys in the next video. Peace out.